not acknowledge the female pilots that also participated in this mission. The early messages that you sent out only congratulated the boys.
They took bits and pieces from a leaked top secret intelligence report, and by the way, I understand the FBI is investigating who was the source of that leak because it's an illegal leak to CNN. And this is the same fake news CNN reporter who wrote the story alleging that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation, which we know is one of the greatest political hoaxes this country and the American public have ever seen. And that CNN story does not change the facts. There was a total and complete obliteration of Iran's nuclear facilities, and because of the president's strike, because of the precision of our United States military and this perfectly executed mission, Iran no longer has the capability to produce a nuclear weapon as imminently as they did prior to the strike. The American people and the world should be grateful for that, and it's disgusting that CNN and the New York Times are disparaging not just the president, but our brave men and women who helped conduct this highly successful operation.
And what kind of consequence could the leaker face?
They should go to jail.
Okay, so I love this message from White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt. It sends a clear, strong message that we're not effing around to the mainstream media and to whoever leaked this document. Personally, in my opinion, I think that whoever leaked this classified document should be held accountable, sent to prison, with no possibility of parole. Listen, we don't need people in our society who are intentionally trying to undermine us. I really do hope they find whoever leaked this shit, but I think one of the main reasons it's so hard to find this leaker is the fact that within the government, there are so many people that have security clearances. And even when they retire and they're out of government, they still maintain their clearances, which is just crazy to me. So this is the real issue with the government, aka the swamp, and they need to cut this shit out. Security clearances should not be indefinite. They need an option to renew, but basically terminate at the end of the presidential term. Nonetheless, I love this message from Karoline Leavitt. These people in the mainstream media are utter trash. The CNN reporter that she was referencing, who also wrote that the Hunter Biden laptop story was fake, was Natasha Bertrand. I don't really understand how any of these people can say that they have any journalistic integrity when they clearly let their personal political ideology interfere with their work. It's crazy to me how far the level of reporting and journalism has gone down the drain in the US over the last 10 years. Anyways, let's now listen to what Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth had to say to CNN, New York Times, MSNBC, and other members of the mainstream media.
Because you, and I mean specifically you, the press, specifically you, the press corps, because you cheer against Trump so hard, it's like in your DNA and in your blood to cheer against Trump, because you want him not to be successful so bad, you have to cheer against the efficacy of these strikes. You have to hope maybe they weren't effective.
He's 100%
maybe the way
right.
the Trump administration has represented him isn't true. So let's take half-truths, spun information, leaked information, and then spin it. Spin it in every way we can to try to cause doubt and manipulate the public mind over whether or not our brave pilots were successful. How many stories have been written about how hard it is to, I don't know, fly a plane for 36 hours? Has MSNBC done that story? Has Fox? Have we done the story how hard that is? Have we done it 2 or 3 times so that American people understand? How about how difficult it is to shoot a drone from an F-15 or 16 or F-22 or F-35? Or what it's like to man a Patriot battery? Or how hard it is to refuel midair? Giving the American people an understanding of how complex and sophisticated this mission really was. There are so many aspects of what our brave men and women did that because of the hatred of this press corps are undermined because your people are trying to leak and spin that it wasn't successful. It's irresponsible. And folks in this room are privy to that information because of the proximity here in the Pentagon. It's an important responsibility. And time and time again, classified information is leaked or peddled for political purposes to try to make the president look bad. And what's really happening is you're undermining the success of incredible B-2 pilots and incredible F-35 pilots and incredible refuelers and incredible air defenders who accomplished their mission, set back a nuclear program in ways that other presidents would have dreamed. How about we celebrate that? How about we talk about how special America is, that only we have these capabilities? I think it's too much to ask, unfortunately, for the fake news. So we're used to that. But we also have an opportunity to stand at the podium and read the truth of what's really happening. And the reality is you want to call it destroyed, you want to call it defeated, you want to call it obliterated, choose your word. This was an historically successful attack, and we should celebrate it as Americans, and it gives us a chance to have peace, chance to have a deal and an opportunity to prevent a nuclear Iran, which is something President Trump talked about for 20 years.
Okay, so let's pause it here for a second. This was a great response from Pete Hegseth, showing the blatant biased reporting and journalism from the mainstream media. Hegseth wasn't just defending President Trump here, he was also defending the truth and the U.S. military. In my opinion, the press corps' obsession with undermining the U.S. military success is a national security liability. These aren't partisan victories, these are American victories, yet the media's hatred for Trump has just completely blinded these people. The focus is no longer on celebrating successes or praising heroes, but instead it's finding something to complain about or critique to undermine the success of this administration. Anyways, let's go back to this clip as it gets pretty spicy towards the end. Hegseth calls out a reporter and gets asked one of the dumbest questions I've ever seen from a journalist.
Why not acknowledge the female pilots that also participated in this mission? The early messages that you sent out only congratulated the boys.
So when I say something like our boys and bombers, see, this is the kind of thing the press does,
This is
right?
ridiculous.
Of course, the chairman mentioned a female bomber pilot. That's fantastic. She's fantastic. She's a hero. I want more.
You have a chance to speak with the Secretary of Defense, and this is the question you ask.
Female bomber pilots. I hope the men and women of our country sign up to do such brave and audacious things. But when you spin it as, because I say our boys and bombers as a common phrase, I'll keep saying things like that, whether they're men or women. I'm very proud of that female pilot, just like I'm very proud of those male pilots. And I don't care if it's a male or a female in that cockpit, and the American people don't care. But it's the obsession.
The fact that he has to even address a stupid question like this and waste his time, this administration's time, everyone else's time at that press corps is just insane.
With race and gender in this department that's changed priorities. We don't do that anymore. We don't play your little games. Yes, right there.
Okay, so that was pretty embarrassing to ask such a stupid question like that on the world stage to the defense secretary. A lot of people refer to, a big group of men and women as, hey, guys, the boys. It's just a generic term. But this just shows you the blatant bias reporting and journalism from the mainstream media. If this was the Biden administration, this type of stupid questioning would not even been asked. Anyways, let's go to the next clip where Pete Hegseth calls out a reporter to her face.
It's about highly enriched uranium. Do you have certainty that all the highly enriched uranium was inside the Fordo Mountain, or some of it, because there were satellite photos that showed more than a dozen trucks there 2 days in advance? Are you certain none of that highly enriched uranium was moved?
Of course, we're watching every single aspect, but Jennifer, you've been about the worst. The one who misrepresents the most intentionally what the president says. I'm familiar.
Report about the ventilation shafts on Saturday night, and in fact, I was the first to describe the B-2 bombers, the refueling, the entire mission with great accuracy. So I take issue with that.
I appreciate you acknowledging that this was the
issues.
first the most successful mission based on operational security that this department has done since you've been here, and I appreciate that. So
Absolutely.
we're looking at all aspects of intelligence and making sure we have a sense of what was where.
So why not